It's February 18th, JLD here, and welcome to MSTR Today and the Treasury Titans. Nothing in this video is financial advice, but strap in. We have a good one coming up for you. As Fong Lee wants us to know that the year of the fire horse is bullish for Bitcoin. Happy Lunar New Year and happy Tet. And here we go with the fire horse. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. James says, can you see how easy it is for sentiment to shift slightly in Bitcoin? It blows like the wind. Quantum resistant BIP 360 proposed. Discussions around Satoshi coins and P2PK coins via Hourglass V2. Sovereign wealth funds buying. Minor capitulation ending. A good old flush is sometimes very much needed to get back on the road. And James believes we are back on the road. And Strategy says, we are thrilled to share Michael Saylor, who will deliver the opening keynote of Bitcoin for Corporations 2026. Be in the room on February 24th at 1 p.m. PST to hear Michael unpack the theory of digital credit. I want to be in that room. I will definitely be listening to that presentation. The theory of digital credit. Michael Saylor, Fong Lee, the entire strategy team, they are going all in on digital credit. This is no surprise to anybody. They are going all in on Stretch. Stretch is their iPhone moment. Mason says, two unstoppable forces on a collision course. What is that? Strategy Bitcoin held, the Bitcoin that is left to mine. Strategy percentage of remaining is 71.04%. Man, that collision is going to be a thing of beauty, at least for MSTR holders. Jesse says, this is completely unsustainable. One company is issuing new shares of its common stock and preferred equity because of high demand. And the proceeds from that is enough to buy 80% of the Bitcoin mined in a week, 3,150 Bitcoin. The Bitcoin price must go up. And Rob says, about 20 days left until we hit 20 million Bitcoin in existence and only 1 million left to mine. Get your 20 million Bitcoin tweets ready for Bitcoin influencers. Let's go. 1 million Bitcoin left. And Michael Saylor is going to try to be getting as many of those as possible. Chris says, strategy is siphoning global capital into Bitcoin. Now, how are they doing it? Well, the bond market, which is $300 trillion, Strife, Strike, Stride, sucking it up. The money market, 150 trillion, Stretch, sucking it up. The equity market, 150 trillion, MSTR, sucking it up, putting it into strategy and doing what? Buying Bitcoin. Let's go. Unfortunately, Chris does have to update this Bitcoin graphic. We're closer to 1.3 trillion, I believe, than 2 trillion. So we'll get back there, Chris. We'll get back there. Zink says, question for the bears. If Bitcoin is going to zero, why is the son of the most powerful man in the world flexing that his company is flying through the Pubco Bitcoin treasury ranks? American Bitcoin is rapidly accumulating, almost as if he knows something that we don't. Maybe, and this is about American Bitcoin crossing the 6,000 Bitcoin number in under 6 months since their NASDAQ debut. British Hodl says the Clarity Act pivot into Bitcoin will be scary. Many people, including British Hodl and myself, believe that once regulation and regulators actually get off their butts and do something, it's going to be very bullish for Bitcoin because a lot of TradFi, again, this is TradFi, a lot of TradFi is sitting on the sidelines waiting for this regulation, waiting for the Clarity Act. So let's get moving on that. Adam says, the most bullish trend for Bitcoin by far, Bitcoin flowing from individuals to the new long-term holders and the institutions is a trend that is increasing at an accelerating pace. I'm very curious to see what the shift in ownership will look like by the end of the decade. And then this is the 2025 change in Bitcoin ownership. Individuals selling like it's their job. Governments, funds, and businesses buying like it's their life. And again, this is only going to increase. This will only be decreasing. Bullish. This is a video I want to just to press play on. I think you're going to really enjoy it. I just enjoyed watching it. So sit back, relax, and realize that Joe says there's 21 million Bitcoin. Choose wisely. This is a minute and 29. We are approaching Michael Saylor debut. He debuts. All right, I'm just going to go back to the end there just so we can see. Not yet mined, 8.9%. The lost in Satoshi, 12.1. It's honestly probably a lot more than that, sadly, for the people that lost it. Governments, companies, ETFs became a huge chunk of this pie when they just didn't exist at all, really, until essentially 2021 and beyond. So crazy to see. This chunk is only going to grow, as we know, as the not yet mined gets a little bit smaller over time and the individuals continue to sell to ETFs and funds and companies and governments continue to acquire. So we have an amazing interview with Michael Saylor on national television yesterday. You're just going to have to sit back, relax, and enjoy because this one's a doozy. As soon as we get back, from thanking our sponsors. When you want more, start your business with Northwest Registered Agent and get access to thousands of free guides, tools, and legal forms to help you launch and protect your business all in one place. Build your complete business identity with Northwest today. Northwest Registered Agent has been helping small business owners and entrepreneurs launch and grow businesses for nearly 30 years. They are the largest registered agent and LLC service in the US with over 1,500 corporate guides, real people who know your local laws and can help you in your business every step of the way. Build your business identity fast with resources, forms, and step-by-step guides even before creating an account. Sign up to manage your business hub with lawyer-drafted documents. Northwest is your one-stop resource, makes life easy, and keeps privacy automatic, never selling data anywhere. Don't wait. Protect your privacy, build your brand, and get your complete business identity in just 10 clicks and 10 minutes. Visit www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free and start building something amazing. Get more with Northwest Registered Agent at www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free. Scams and identity theft do not start with hackers. They start with your personal data being easy to find online. Your home address, phone number, and employment history can be sitting on dozens of websites right now, waiting to be used for fake loans, targeted scams, or worse. That information is spread across people's search pages, shady directories, and commercial databases you've never even heard of. That's where Incogni comes in. Instead of spending hundreds of hours manually opting out of these sites, Incogni automates the entire process. They hunt down your data and demand its removal. Incogni doesn't just do this once. They continuously monitor these sites in the background to make sure your data doesn't reappear. I recommend the unlimited plan because when something isn't covered automatically, Incogni's custom removals feature lets you send in a specific link and a dedicated privacy expert takes care of the manual removal for you, start to finish. Remember, if they can't find you, they can't use your data against you. Take your data back risk-free with Incogni's 30-day money-back guarantee. Use code MSTR for 60% off an annual plan at incogni.com/MSTR. That's INCOGNI.com/MSTR.
Executive Chairman Michael Saylor. Michael, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Can I first just get your gut answer as to whether we are in the first stages of another extended crypto winter?
We are in a crypto winter. This is the fifth major drawdown of Bitcoin in the 5 years since I've been in the marketplace. This is a much milder winter than previous winters. It'll be shorter than previous winters. It's going to be followed by a spring and then a glorious summer. So don't fear.
Why do you feel so confident saying that?
The banking sector is supporting Bitcoin much more strongly today than we were 4 years ago. We've got the formation of digital credit networks, banking credit networks. We've got the support of the administration. We've got a Bitcoin president. We've got 12 cabinet members that are pro-digital assets and pro-innovation. And every single month, you see new advances in the digital asset space, which are bringing extraordinary productivity to the economy and a lot of capital to the asset class.
You know, you're absolutely right when it comes to the banks who have finally started accepting and embracing it. I mean, you could go back, of course, to BlackRock, not a bank, but BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, finally pushing hard to get a spot Bitcoin ETF in play. IBIT and the rest have done, depending on what Bitcoin is doing, up, down, all around. But let's get to strategy, because your company's average acquisition price for all those Bitcoin is around what, 76,000? Can you just clarify that and make sure that I'm right on that?
Yeah, in that range.
Okay, that is materially above current market levels. And that has created unrealized, albeit unrealized, losses on paper. But at what point, Michael, does this disconnect between cost basis, what you paid, and the current market price become a problem for you and your shareholders?
Yeah, it's one of the misconceptions people have is that number really matters. The most important thing to understand is that we bought most of that Bitcoin with equity, not with debt. So if we had borrowed money to buy the Bitcoin, it might be an issue. But we were the largest issuer of equity in 2024 in the entire capital market. We were the largest issuer of equity in 2025 in the entire capital market. I think the company raised $55 billion of capital, but only 8 of the $55 billion was debt. So if we did buy the Bitcoin at a little bit higher than the current level, we sold equity that it was a massive premium to the Bitcoin at the time that we bought it. So the company's balance sheet's a fortress. We're fairly indestructible. Bitcoin can fall to any level. It won't make much difference to us. We will equitize the debt we have over the next 3 to 6 years. We will buy Bitcoin, if not every week, we'll definitely be buying Bitcoin every quarter going forward.
Makes no difference if Bitcoin goes all the way down, and yet your whole strategy is very much based on Bitcoin. I mean, you mentioned your premium. Historically, your stock had traded at a much higher premium than what Bitcoin was at. That is no longer the case. So do you have a framework, Michael, for reclaiming that, I guess, that premium absent any rally in the next, I don't know how long a crypto winter lasts. You said that it would be shorter, but absent any rally in Bitcoin back to 126,000.
Well, our equity is trading at a premium to our net asset value right now. So we've already reclaimed that premium. We've got enough capital for the next 50 to 60 years. So unlike investors that need the market to do what they want in the next month.
Capital, I see 2 billion. I see 2 billion of cash.
60 years. We have 60 years of capital, Liz. We can wait out any short-term downturn in the market. A week, a month, a year doesn't matter to us. We're like the company that owns 3.4% of Manhattan with enough capital to hold out to the end of this century. And you're telling me that it's been a bad week or a bad month in Manhattan real estate market. We believe in the future of the network, and we built the balance sheet accordingly.
That's an interesting analogy. I like it. I think it certainly works for people who might not be understanding what's going on. But when you say capital for the next 60 years, in what form?
We have $2.25 billion worth of just cash. And we have Bitcoin, about 717,000 Bitcoin, which is equal to about 55 years worth of dividends.
Okay. All right. That is if they hold up. Given the dividend obligations on preferreds, interest on convertible debt, there's all of that, and your operating costs. What is the pathway through which you would generate actual cash flow independent of Bitcoin?
Yeah, the thing to keep in mind is that Bitcoin is outperforming the S&P by a factor of 2 to 3. And so if you can hold out through a 4-year cycle, then you can expect to outperform the S&P index we have the option to simply hold the Bitcoin and return the Bitcoin or capital from the Bitcoin to our investors, or we can sell the equity that's backed by the Bitcoin in order to pay the dividend, or we can sell derivatives based upon our Bitcoin holdings in order to pay our dividends.
Let's talk about STRC. So that to me is an interesting one because this is your digital concept for credit. Explain to people what that is, because it is paying off, 11% dividend to shareholders? That is a very rich dividend. How are you able to do that?
Imagine you take a company public that holds a bunch of Manhattan real estate that you expect to go up 7% a year. Then you sell a preferred stock that pays a 3.5% dividend each year. You're just returning the first half of the capital appreciation of the real estate back to the credit investors in the form of a dividend. If you were holding the same amount in gold and you thought gold would go up 10% a year, you could pay a 5% dividend in a preferred stock. We are holding Bitcoin, which we expect to go up more than 20% a year. So we offer 11% dividend yield on the preferred stock backed by the Bitcoin that we hold. And so the credit investors are getting the first 11% return on Bitcoin in the form of a credit instrument. The equity investors are getting the return in excess of the 11%. So what we've done with STRC is created a digital credit instrument that can pay double-digit dividends, like 11%, in a return of capital dividend, so it's tax deferred. And then we over-collateralize that credit instrument with $4 to $5 worth of Bitcoin whenever we sell $1 of stretch.
Michael, isn't that based, though, on a blue sky scenario? You began the sentence by saying, imagine if you were in real estate and you expect real estate to go up 10%. Well, in 2005, 6, 7, everybody thought real estate was going to continue to go up, and it did not. It imploded. There are moments in time where these black swan events happen, and I think that it's important for people to understand, what is the backup plan?
Well, that's why we have 2.5 years worth of cash on the balance sheet. So if the market seized up for the next 2.5 years, we just pay cash. That's why we have the 55 years worth of over collateralization in the Bitcoin. So you're right. If you needed to be perfect in the next week or the next month, there might be risk. We just need to be right over the next decade for the equity to pay off. And we need to be right, sometime in the next 40 or 50 years in order for the credit to be workable.
Let me shift the discussion to the Federal Reserve, because President Trump has nominated Kevin Warsh to be the next Fed chair. There is a question as to whether he will be in a position to cut interest rates. We know President Trump really wants him to, but the economy is holding up, at least for the moment. So, if he holds off on cutting interest rates, which could hurt riskier investments, give me a sense of what you expect to see in that case.
Bitcoin is global digital capital. It's above my pay grade to speculate about where the interest rates will go. But what I'll say is there are three primary drivers of the Bitcoin price that are all bullish. There are those that believe that Bitcoin is a better gold than gold because it's scarce and it's teleportable. And so people that believe in a debasement trade or they want a non-sovereign store of value will buy Bitcoin for the long term for that reason. There are other people that believe in the digital transformation of finance, and they think of Bitcoin as amplified big tech. And then there's a third set of people that want global property, and they simply want the highest, best property in the world that they can move to any country anytime they want. And so Bitcoin's driven by all three of those dynamics, sometimes on different days of the week. And so it defies putting into a simple bucket. But it's going to win for one of those three reasons, regardless of what the macro environment works out to be.
It truly is interesting now that I hear more than a few people saying that to diversify their portfolios, and they're not necessarily Bitcoin believers, they are putting a little corner of their money into cryptocurrency just so that they are diversified. You guys have come a long way. Good to see you, Michael. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anytime. Mike.
What's the second best? There is no second best.